Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO DPC Technology. I've got a cool one today. Today I'm going to go over the Flex 2.5 PoE and the new Flex 2.5G. These are two new 8-port switches and they're really cool. But more importantly, I want to go over the 8-port switches that Unifi currently has on offering and where I think these two cool little 8-port switches fit in that lineup. You may have seen my video last summer when I was in Colorado and I was doing basically an apartment setup. And in that video, I wanted to use a U7 wall, which is a PoE-driven device which has 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. And so I was kind of in between a rock and a hard place because there wasn't a switch that could do both of those. And so I ended up having to get the Enterprise 8 PoE, which is an incredible switch. But at $479, it was a big investment. And I don't think most people in that use case would spend that much for that switch. So we're kind of in a spot where 2.5 gig is getting more and more common. PoE is kind of a necessity for cameras and for WAPs. So there wasn't really an offering in this space. And I think the Flex 2.5 PoE really fits this. So let's go over the specs a little bit. It comes in at $199. It's 8 ports of 2.5 gigabit PoE++ output. It also has one 10 gigabit PoE+++ input for power / SFP plus port combo. So basically what that means is you can use one or the other. And if that wasn't enough options, you can get 196 watts of PoE availability with the optional AC adapter. That's the 210 watt adapter. I went ahead and bought that adapter as well. And that is the same adapter that comes with the 16 PoE Max, which is a great little switch that I also have. And really quickly, the Flex 2.5G comes in at $159. It's got 8 2.5G ports and that same one 10 gigabit Ethernet PoE plus import / SFP plus port combo. But as well, the non-PoE version here can be powered with the included 5 volt 3 amp USB-C connector, which makes this super versatile as well. I'm not gonna go too deep into the Flex 2.5G. I will just leave it at, I've been using it for a couple of months now. I've been using it directly into my AG switch with the SFP plus connection, powered over PoE. All the ports run at 2.5 gig. It is awesome. Really good switch. And all the features of the switch are very similar once you get into it. So too long didn't watch, I would just go ahead and buy that switch. It's a great little switch. If you're looking for a 2.5 gig connectivity, you can power a bunch of different ways. It's got the 10 gig uplink. It's a really good switch. I think $159 is a pretty fair price for it. And the rest of the accessories and stuff that I talk about other than power delivery work for both switches. So let's get back to the Flex 2.5G PoE. Like I was mentioning before, I think my main story for Unifi over the last 18 months has just been options. They're giving you options at every different level. And I think even if in this switch, you're getting a ton of different options, a way to do it. So you can start with this switch for $199. If you already have PoE delivery to it, I think it's gonna be a great little versatile switch. You'll only have to run one line over to it with the 10 gig uplink and you're good to go. Really the issue with the plus and the plus, there are not a lot of switches that'll do that right now. So for me, I have a 10 gig uplink on my Pro HD, and that's an awesome little switch. And I will get the Enterprise Campus switches with PoE+++ as soon as they're available. And that would be awesome. For my use case, you see that I'm often testing these cameras and stuff. So I have a bunch of these smaller switches around the office where I'm putting in 4 or 5 cameras right next to each other to test. Or on the roof where I have a jig where I'll put 6 or 7 cameras up there. This is the perfect camera for me. And to be able to deliver that power over one Ethernet cable is going to be amazing. So with the HD, I'm able to give it 37 watts PoE availability. And when I get the Enterprise Campus switches, I will be able to give it 57 watts of PoE availability, which is awesome. It's probably enough to power everything that I'm gonna power in those locations. But not only that, I don't necessarily need a switch to power it because I can power it with optional PoE injectors. But the way I'm running it is I actually bought the AC adapter 210 watt, which is an extra $79. So I'm into it for $278. But what I've got now is a super powerful small PoE switch delivering 196 watts of PoE. And on top of that, I'm 2.5 gigs to every port. I'm doing an uplink to my AG switch with the SFP plus connection. So it's a really impressive little setup. There are also 2 cool mounting options with it. There's a floating mount, which is basically a magnetic mount for $15, and there's a DIN rail mount for $15 as well. They work with both of these switches interchangeably. You probably could 3D print one if you really wanted to, but for $15, it's just done. So if you look at this 8-port lineup now, you just have so many options. You could start out with the Lite at $109 if you just need simple connectivity. You could go up one level to the 8-port Ultra for another $20 at $129, and that gives you PoE along with your 1 gigabit connection. Then you could step up to the Flex 2.5G at $159 if you needed 2.5 gig, but you didn't need PoE. PoE. From there, you could step up to the Flex 2.5G PoE at $199. Then you could add the 210 watt adapter for another $79, putting you at $278. And then you could go all the way up to the Enterprise 8 PoE at $479 if you needed layer 3 switching. So you really have the whole spectrum there, and it's just option after option after option, and they're all just kind of stepped up, $20, $30, $50 up from one to the next, based off of your use case. And I think this is a really smart way for Unifi to do this, because they're not making everybody pay for features that they don't need. So for the Flex 2.8 PoE, if you don't really need a huge power budget and you already have, let's say, a 10 gig PoE++ port, well, you're ready to go. Boom, you don't have to pay for anything else. But if you did have a higher power budget, you can spend the extra $79 and boom, you're ready to go for that too. I think it really is the right way to do this. Same thing for the non-PoE version. If you just want to plug it in with the USB-C, there you go. If you want to power it over PoE and only run one line to it, you have that option as well. Super powerful, super flexible. I'm gonna jump in real quick and show you what it looks like in the software. Here I've got the USW Flex 2.5G 8 PoE. I'm gonna go ahead and click to adopt. Very similar to any Unifi adoption. It actually popped up in my software a little while ago. I closed out of it. And you can also do it from your phone, but it will quickly adopt and update to the latest firmware. Fast forward internet. All right, let's go through it real quick, in the main overview screen, showing you basically the port manager. I'll go in that in a second here, showing you the cameras. I've got an access module plugged into it. Gives you your MAC address, your device version, your uptime, your memory usage. Gives you the device name, gives you the parent device and that information on that, what port it's plugged into back in the server closet. Under Insights, it shows your history and your system statistics. I just did a reset on it, so there is no history. And under Settings, I can change the name of it. It's showing you that I've had the external 210 power adapter plugged into it. I'm running DHCP. I can change my IP settings. I got my advanced, I'm just pulling global settings, but I could change some of that here as well. And I could manage the LED on the front of it, and I could locate, restart, and remove it. So pretty simple stuff. I'll go back into Port Manager again, just show you what it looks like there. Very nice interface as always with typical Unifi stuff. Just really quickly, I don't know if this comment came from Facebook or from Reddit, but I want to read one really quickly. And just as an aside, if you have any questions or comments, put them down below. And if you saw this on Facebook or on Reddit, those comments really do help me shape these videos and help me understand exactly what you guys want to see in these videos. The comment went, why do almost all compact switches have no layer 2 features anymore? And these are layer 2 switches. The Lite PoE at $109 has the following additional features than the Flex. And then they go on to list several features: IGMP snooping, voice VLAN, 802.1x control, DHCP snooping / guarding, port restricted by MAC, device isolation with ACLs. A bunch of these features. And honestly, at these level 2 switches, I think the feature sets kind of vary a lot from one to the next. And I think there may be some value engineering. I'm not privy to what's happening on the development side of this, but I think there probably is a trade-off between more features and lower price. And obviously, if I'm really looking for a feature-rich switch, I might be looking at the layer 3 switch in this case versus the layer 2 switch. Obviously, there's a big price jump there, but I think that the thought process here is, these layer 2 switches are probably just going to get sprinkled around. You need a nice base feature set, which I think these have, but more of these kind of higher end or maybe obscure features probably don't make the development path, probably just for financial reasons. I don't know that to be true or not, but it is true if you're looking for, all the features and you're, really looking for a switch that can kind of do everything. The Enterprise 8 PoE, although, by the time you get it all done, it's probably a couple $100 more than this, might be the spot where you are. But that brings me full circle to there's options here. And you can look at that list of, how many did I list? 7, 6, 7, 8 switches there. And you've got a lot of options from, $100 all the way up to $500 to really fit your budget and your needs. But what I will tell you is that these switches are going to be used in my office. They are going to be used in our clients' offices. And I think as we start to see 2.5 gigabit be almost everywhere, these are going to be really, really popular switches. They are going to go in a ton of our offices. And here at DBC Technology, we will probably buy 2 or 3 more of these Flex 2.5G PoEs to put around the office for our test beds and for, like I said, to test cameras up in the ceilings. They're the perfect Swiss Army knife for us. They kind of do everything. They do it at 2.5G and they do it at a reasonable budget. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. As always, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.